Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the Trader Bacon Show. I have what will ultimately be, I think, a unique episode of the Trader Bacon Show today. Um, just like in trading, unfortunately, sometimes we have to deal with the human element of things, and we have to expect the unexpected. The gentleman that I had lined up to be the guest for the show today did have a family emergency, and we had kind of a loose backup that had a schedule conflict. So you guys get 30 minutes of me. I am your host, Gates W. Adams, and I want to share with you some insights that I have learned inside and outside of trading that will hopefully give you a few nuggets of valuable information that you can use as you start to build and continue to build your trading profession as well. So hopefully this will be valuable to you guys, and I look forward to spending this time with you guys on today's episode of the Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday traders that are getting funded, paid, and bringing home the bacon. Are you ready? Because the Trader Bacon Show starts right now.
Welcome. All right. So, yes, a little bit of the unexpected today. First and foremost, I want to throw out a couple of little caveats here. First of all, this is not what I normally do. I'm not used to necessarily speaking for 30 minutes straight. As you guys have seen me on the show, I ask a question and I let my guests roll. So this should be interesting. Hopefully it comes off well. And again, I hope that this brings you guys some valuable information. Second of all, as I go through some of these insights, I want to kind of state the obvious. For those of you who have followed my trading journey, there is a reason that I'm on this side of the show. None of this should be taken as financial or trading advice. I know every single one of you goes through that disclaimer and disclosure at the beginning of the show, line by line. But if you haven't, just remember that this is for entertainment purposes only. And what I'm going to share with you today are a lot of opinions and experiences based on my background, like I said, inside and outside of trading. And I'll try to bring these all together and kind of hone them in on into the topic and concept of trading for you guys. And really, my hope here is just that I can give you guys a few different ideas that just gives you something to think about. We're going to take a little bit of a different role. We're not going to talk about specific trades and setups and risk and reward and all the things that we like to talk about on this show because you guys have already seen me do a show. If you haven't, of course, you can always catch the recaps of the show on the Benzinga channel. But I wanted to kind of take a different approach and talk about some of the things that are outside of, I guess, the quote-unquote obvious conversation. Let's see here. I wanted to make sure that I can see into the chat. And I guess my apologies. It does not look like that's something that I've got access to. So my apologies. I won't be able to see the chat. And unfortunately, we've had a change to some of the internal email addresses. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's good to go. My bad. Okay, so I will do my best to try to interact with you as we go through this as well. So feel free to join up in the chat. And lastly, before we jump into it, as usual, we will be giving away 3 evaluations on the show. We will not actually be announcing the winners on the show. We have a substitute producer today. So we're going to post the link up here in just a second. Make sure to fill out the link, and the winners of those evaluations will be notified via email by the end of the week. And we'll make sure that we get that information out to you guys as soon as possible. So make sure you fill out that link right there. Now, before we get too deeply into this, I want to share with you guys kind of my trading story. I think it's pertinent that you guys know the perspective that I'm coming from. And it's a little bit tragic. It's a little bit sad. I'm not trying to bring down the energy of the show, but I do think that it warrants a bit of, I'm going to try to make a long story short on this and share with you some of what my experience has been and why I have been approaching things the way that I have. But my first trading experience was in 1998, so 25, almost 26 years ago. And long story short, my dad had developed a trading strategy, and without a whole lot of expectation, he was diagnosed with cancer, and we lost him within about 7 weeks. It was a very short period of time, not a lot of prep work. Well, one thing that my dad was amazing at is he kept diligent notes. And so he mapped out his trading strategy, and I learned it. I learned it very quickly, backwards and forwards, and so I ended up starting to paper trade this and execute some trades, and I was doing really, really well. In fact, I was doing so well that my mother said, let's take everything that, your dad left us. Let's take the whole nest egg here and let's trade it, which seemed like a good idea at the time. In fact, within a few months, about 4 or 5 months, I multiplied that entire amount by about 7 times over. It really was, this was beyond any sort of expectation. There were times where we were making tens of thousands of dollars a day, and I didn't really have the fundamentals. I'd never traded before. I was literally just executing a strategy. And as quickly as it went up, unfortunately, we had a little bit of a shift. And all of a sudden, from virtually winning every trade, we went to the point where we were losing. And I say we, it was really me, losing almost every trade. And within a couple of months, I had wiped out the entire gains plus the initial nest egg, which pretty much left my mom broke. From there, we in a moment of grief and panic, we did the unthinkable, and we again thought it was a good idea at the time. We leveraged her house. So basically took out all the equity of her house. I went ahead and started trading that, and ended up within a few weeks losing that as well. This was an unbelievably, traumatic experience for me. And quite frankly, pretty much expected that I was never going to trade again. And so this has always been kind of in the back of my mind when it's come to trading. So I've always joked about the fact that when somebody starts kind of from ground zero and they are learning how to trade, I'm starting from ground negative 100, because in addition to having to relearn all the aspects of trading, I've had to deal with this psychological background. So that's really kind of where I started. And I wanted to share that with you guys because, again, I think it's pertinent to understanding that the dynamics of trading go far beyond just learning a trading system and a trading strategy. So I wanted to go into that because I've commented multiple times on this show and other places that most decent trading strategies, most traders can reasonably learn the mechanics of it within a matter of a couple weeks of diligent effort. And I do truly believe that that's true. But I think one of the things that I missed, because at that point I had not done any of the foundational work. I didn't understand why the markets moved the way that they did. I didn't understand trading psychology. I didn't understand a lot of these facets. I just understood how to mechanically enter and exit trades based on a predetermined system. So there's more to it than that. We all know that there's more to it than that, but in my youth and in my being naive and young, this was just not something that I was really aware of, right? So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about what I see as the 4 primary domains of life and how they apply themselves to trading. So we're going to kind of take a step away from the strategy, and we're going to talk about some of the other things. Now, real quick, I'm not sure what's going on with the link. It should be a copy paste. If it's not, maybe we can see about verifying that and making sure that that's good to go. And Jan, I'm not sure where we have those posted. Usually we post them at the end of the show, but our regular producer isn't in today. So we don't necessarily have that option, but I'll see if I can figure out an answer to that question. So anyway, as we go into this, so I'm going to talk about the 4 domains and how they apply to training, and they're going to be body, being, balance, and business. So and I'll kind of go through these as we go. Now, the obvious is business. If you're not treating trading as a business, you're in for a rough road. There's just a lot of facets that really just come into play that, look, you have to learn the mechanics, you have to learn the foundations, you have to learn what it is and how to trade. That I think kind of goes without saying. But one of the things that I've learned, and I apologize, I didn't exactly have a ton of time to prepare for all of this, so I'm not going to be able to cite all of the people that I'm taking information from. This is just sort of things that have been integrated into my life and into my world. So I'm probably not going to be able to cite the references properly here, but I will share with you that I listened to a lot of Andrew Huberman, Huberman Lab. A lot of stuff I know is going to come from there. And so beyond that, this is a lot of information that I've gleaned from Daryl Martin himself as he was teaching me how to trade in the early days. And other than that, hopefully I can just give as best I can to the credit. But when it comes to learning something and developing a skill and setting goals, I think it's really common for a lot of people, especially when you start getting into the beginning of the year. It's January 1st. Everybody wants to set all of these New Year's resolutions, and they'll say, look, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to make an extra $20,000 in income this year. I want to, I want to take 3 trips with my wife, or whatever the case may be. So a lot of times all of these multiple goals are set up, and what ends up happening without a proper plan and a proper system, they end up competing with one another. So shy of having a decent system that allows you to focus on multiple targets at once, what I think is one of the best things that you can do is set that main priority. So in this case, if your priority is to become a better, more successful, more profitable trader, set that main goal and then try to habitualize everything else. So if you're trying to lose weight as well, just get the habits in play that go along with that. So set your gym time and try to make it something that you're not thinking too much about. Like, one of the things that I've done on my health journey is I've started tracking macros. Well, if this is not a major focus for me, it's almost impossible. So that can be detrimental, and that can take away from a lot of focus that I have on things that are a much bigger priority for me. And so I think that when it comes to developing a skill like trading, it's important to understand that there's no end game, right? This is a skill that basically you should be working on every single day. You should be constantly learning. There's a ton of information out there, a ton of resources on trading strategy, on market strategy. I mean, just whether you're trading futures, forex, it doesn't matter what it is that you're trading, but there's so much valuable information out there that, look, unless you're talking about being a 7-figure trader, there's clearly more that can be learned. And quite frankly, in my opinion, even if you are a 7-figure trader, there's still plenty more that can be learned. So one of the ways that I've figured out that has been really, really effective for me when I'm learning new skills and new strategies is to, number one, is to have a consistent time where I'm focused on learning this, something about this new skill. Every single day of my life, Monday through Sunday, without exception, I spend at least 30 minutes learning something new within the business that I'm in. So whether that be, the show that I'm doing, whether that be trading itself, whether that be some of the other facets of what I do, there's always that component of my day. 30 minutes isn't much. It can easily be fit in around pretty much anything else. But beyond that, I think a very valuable skill to move into, to develop these skills and this knowledge, is to take what you learn and teach it to somebody else. A lot of traders have their trader communities. These communities are great opportunities to share ideas, but more so than getting ideas from other people, I think the value in this is taking what you've learned and sharing it with somebody else. Because when you do that, it really solidifies what it is that you've taken in. Now, next phase I want to talk about is body. So what does your physical fitness have to do with trading? Well, I think there's kind of the gimme answer to that. If you're in better shape, you're going to have more energy and focus, which will absolutely help you in the charts. Excuse me. You can see, I'm not used to talking for 30 minutes straight. I'm only 13 minutes in. But absolutely, having more energy, having more focus is very valuable to you as a trader. I think that there's absolutely a facet of how you eat and how you fuel your body that will have a connection to your trading results. If you're hungry, that does become very distractive to your focus and attention. Of course, if you have eaten just something really greasy and heavy and feel weighed down, it can make you feel lethargic, which is just not going to be very valuable and effective to your trading. But I think even bigger than that, and maybe less obvious, is confidence. I think that one of the quickest things that you can do as an individual to increase your confidence is to increase your physical fitness. There's visual, there's things that you can see visually. You look in the mirror, you look a little bit better, you feel a little bit better. You generally feel healthier, more energized, and things like that. All of these do contribute to a sense of confidence. Well, where does confidence play in trading? Trading, I think, is one of those things that absolutely requires a general sense of confidence. You're making a decision on an unknown based on information that you've put together, And I think that actually creates an opportunity to really focus on um, to focus that attention and that confidence into making better decisions when you're trading. Will it make you a more profitable trader in and of itself? Probably not. But if you mix this in with developing your skills and your understanding of the market, you're less hesitant, you make better moves, and you make moves more consistently through being just a little bit more confident. I want to talk about a big one: relationships, the what I call the balance domain. That absolutely look, I can't talk enough about the value of relationships when it comes to trading. For those of you who are married or in a significant relationship, try trading after a big fight and see how you do. Let's see if that doesn't affect your results a little bit. Let's take it the other way around. Have a rough day in the charts, and then try to avoid a fight with your significant other and see if that doesn't necessarily have an impact. I think about a lot of traders that I've worked with and talked to in the past, and obviously I love Apex Trader Funding. I'm a huge fan for a variety of reasons. Obviously, in 1998, if I'd had Apex Trader Funding, things would have looked a little bit different than they do today. But outside of that, I've seen so many scenarios where the crow. That's why she had to go. Oh, you guys are killing me. But I think about the guy who basically spends 6 months learning how to trade, maybe isn't showing up as much, is up late watching YouTube videos or studying a new strategy or whatever the case may be, and then finally says, look, honey, we're going to take some money out of savings, and this is going to change the dynamic of our financial life forever, right? Probably takes a little bit of talking her into it, and sure enough, she agrees. Well, for those of you who've been trading for a minute, you understand that there is a different dynamic between paper trading and trading for real money. And the reality is that most traders, their first go are going to blow that first account. In fact, they're usually going to blow it pretty quickly. I think some of the statistics say that about 90% of traders blow that account in 90 days. So all this time spent convincing that person that this is going to change our financial life, well, it has. Just not exactly in the way that you promised or in the way that you were expecting or hoping. And so these relationships absolutely have an impact on your trading results, and on your opportunity and your mindset when you get into those charts. So having somebody who understands the struggle, having somebody who paper won't make you pass through the emotional roller coaster, 100% not. Absolutely not, Steve. That's a great point. So when you have that person who's closest to you, that is a 100% behind you, 100% in your corner, and understands that there are going to be ups and downs, and understands that this is a process, that this is not a one-time shot, developing that relationship and developing that sense of expectation takes communication. It takes sometimes a lot of conversations. It takes sometimes difficult conversations. And for that poor guy who put in that first chunk of savings, well, the reason that a lot of traders aren't successful is because they can never get past that first experience. And the reality is, a lot of that, I think, comes down to trying to convince that life partner once again that, okay, it didn't work last time, but it's going to work this time, I promise. Again, one of the big values of Apex Trader Funding, being able to get an account for less than a dinner at Chili's is definitely a different dynamic. But the fact is that regardless of the money side of it, there is a time factor that comes into play. And that time does take away from those relationships. So setting that expectation and being able to communicate effectively with your significant other is a hugely meaningful and powerful part of establishing that solid foundation from which to go. Now I'm going to get into one that kind of has a little bit more of that taboo feel to it, and it's what I'm going to call being. And this is more the faith, spirituality, connected sort of side of things. Now, this is obviously going to have a different definition for everybody, and I'm not here to tell anybody to believe one way or another. That's your personal decision, your personal path. I know what that is for me, and that's really all that counts. But I think in the grand scheme of that, there is a sense of connectivity that is greater than self, that's greater than you, and whether that just be a moral focus, whether that be a spiritual or religious or faith-based focus, it doesn't really matter in the context that I'm going to present it today. But I want to talk about a few things that are not necessarily specific to any sort of belief system that I would basically put into this category that have made a huge impact on my life in a variety of different ways. And the first one is meditation. Now, I've had a couple of guests on the show that meditate religiously before they get into the charts. I know for me, yes, Richard, one needs good spiritual health. And like I said, I could absolutely have an argument for this till the cows come home. I don't think that this is necessarily the forum for that, but I 100% agree with you on that. But when it comes to when it comes to meditation, so I'll share something with you. About 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with pretty severe anxiety, and it kind of it took a toll on me. Come to realize it had taken a toll on me my entire life, almost 50 years at that point. And I didn't realize it because it was just normal to me. This feeling, this experience that I had, until it got to the point where it was hugely exacerbated, was it just was my normal. So I didn't realize that I had anxiety, but it manifested in trading, it manifested in relationships, it manifested in pretty much every aspect of my life. And one of the things that I started doing at that point is I started meditating pretty much every day. I've meditated almost every day for the last 3 years. The reason I do this is for me, well, like there's a variety of reasons, but as it applies to trading, meditation to me is kind of like taking beta blockers. I don't know if you guys are familiar with beta blockers, but like shooters will take beta blockers because it will steady the nerves. It'll steady the, the trigger finger or whatever, whatever you feel about shooting. Anyway, but it will steady, it'll kind of lower the heart rate, blood pressure, and you get a little bit more steady. And to me, meditation functions as a natural beta blocker. So as I get into the charts, that anxiety that I feel, it manages it in such a way to where I actually 3 years ago found that I had anxiety. I got on medication for it. It took a little while, but I don't know, a little less than a year ago, I managed to get off the medication. I don't really have issues with it anymore, and it's completely changed the dynamic of how I am. So I absolutely getting into the charts, when you're in a good trade, when you're in a bad trade, it doesn't matter. The natural emotional dynamic of trading will contribute to these feelings of anxiety, to these feelings of pressure. In fact, a lot of my trading has been scalping, and I scalp on the NQ. So like I'm going for 9 ticks. I mean, that happens in like a matter of, a couple of seconds. Well, I started playing around with trading ES, and it does not move anywhere near as fast as NQ. And I got to the point where if I was in a trade for 2, 3, 4 minutes, it would just generate this severe level of anxiety. I figured I had to do something to manage that anxiety. And I started picking up, I don't know if you guys can see these, some juggling balls. I would sit there just to keep my mind and body occupied. I would sit there and juggle as I was sitting in a trade. Now I've gotten a little bit better with that as well. But that is one thing that meditation has really, really brought to my world. And I would say if you've never meditated, get the Calm app, or there's tons of meditations on YouTube. I use an app called Waking Up. I think it's pretty fantastic. But I would say give it 10 days. Just give it 10 minutes a day before you trade. Just do it for 10 days and see what happens. I think that the way that you feel and the way that you approach trading will shock you. But I challenge you to do that. The other thing is I think that in terms of this being domain, is developing a sense of purpose. So particularly men, but I know a lot of people find and define their sense of purpose in what they do for a living. And if that happens to be trading, that's fantastic. But here's the challenge. When it comes to trading, I mean, in the perfect world of trading, you develop to a level of a 7-figure trader. You're trading 90 minutes a day. That leaves a lot of extra time to basically travel or explore or leisure or whatever it is for you, whatever it is that you're seeking, whatever that time buys you, so to speak. But what that also does is that leaves a lot of time for self-sabotage. And so one of the things that I've seen over and over and over again, and this is not necessarily just trading, but I have absolutely seen this in trading, when developing your skill as a trader is your sense of purpose. When you achieve whatever that target level is for you, you no longer have that sense of purpose. And what I've seen happen over and over and over again is I've seen traders burn it all to the ground so that they have that ability to start over. This is totally happening at the subconscious level. But the human being is designed to move towards a sense of purpose. And when you have quote unquote arrived and that sense of purpose has sort of gone away, that leaves a hole. There's something missing. So what I have always recommended to people that I've talked to is develop that sense of purpose that is outside of trading as you go, something that can be permanent, that does not have that I have arrived moment, right? Now, again, this can be whatever it's meaningful to you. It doesn't have to fit within a certain category, but having that sense of purpose is incredibly valuable towards not creating that moment of self-sabotage when you get to the point where you're going, right? And I talk about being a seven-figure trader, and yeah, I think for a lot of people, you talk about milestones. A lot of traders, their first thing is they want to go for that 5-figure a month payout. Getting that first $10,000 month is that's like that big target. But once you get there, I think that next really big target is that 6-figure a month, that 7-figure a year trader. And we've had at least a couple of them on the show. In fact, last week's guest was in fact a 7-figure trader, live mic trader. If you guys saw that episode, if you haven't, go back and watch it. But here's the thing. We know that this is possible. We 100% know that this is possible. How do we know this? Well, because we've seen it. But what does it actually take? Everybody knows somebody who is consistently averaging, $5,000 a month in trading income. I mean, really, what does it take to get $5,000 a month in trading income? Well, it's only $250 a day average. I mean, how long does it take to make $250 a day? Clearly, this, obviously broken down to the ridiculous, this opportunity is there. But, and it's simple. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it is simple. And when this is something that my father would refer to as mental masturbation. Sorry about that. If you're looking at profiting $250 a day average, yes, there's going to be high, there's going to be low. Emiola, no, I am 100% not a 7-figure trader yet. Working on it. In fact, I'm very public about my journey, and if you guys are interested for whatever this, Gerald, thank you, for whatever it's worth, follow me on Facebook at GAC Trading Pro. My journey is very public, and like I said, there is a reason that I'm on this side of the microphone during this show. Working on it, but definitely not there yet. But the point is that this level of consistency, $250 a day, $5,000 a month. Well, Apex Trader Funding does give you an opportunity to get up to 20 accounts. Well, $250 a day over 20 accounts is $100,000 a month. There is right there 7 figures a year. Okay. But the reality is what I just described to you is the concept of I can learn this system, I can execute it, and that's it. Unless you handle all of the other aspects of it, there are missing pieces. There are missing components that will prevent most traders from getting to that level. And that was the whole point of today's discussion is, look, this is more than just learning a strategy, learning when to enter, when to exit, where to set your risk, where to set your targets, all of that. No, okay? That is important, but that's the easy part. But what I recommend and what I absolutely encourage you to do is figure out through all of this, where are you? Are there opportunities or are there holes when it comes to your body, your physical well-being, and your fitness that could help you improve the quality of your trading? Are there opportunities within your relationships where you can create more support and more understanding of the process and of the journey? Because there are going to be ups and downs, 100%, right? Is there an opportunity within your sense of purpose and your sense of meaning that will help get you through those phases where there's almost a complacency because you've hit a certain level and you find yourself crashing down and having to start over again from the beginning, right? So I don't know. Hopefully this has been helpful and beneficial for you guys, but I highly encourage you guys, check out these different domains and see where your opportunity lies. We will be back next week with a guest. So thank you guys for indulging me. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Loved it. And hopefully this has given you some ideas to work with and look at within your own trading world. And I am going to, we'll be back next week with another guest, and we'll be getting those winners out by the end of the week. Gene, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you guys on Monday on the next Trader Bacon Show.
Welcome to the Trader Bacon Show, where we showcase everyday